This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
We All Be is honored to have on the one and only Judge Joe Brown for the first time in the new year of 2018. He's going to lay the law down for our loyal listeners. And Judge, are you there?
I'm here, brother.
Yeah, it's good. It's great to have you back on. How you feeling today?
Getting better.
Getting better. All right. Well, I don't know. Is that the sign of the times as well? Are things getting better overall in the world today as we see it? Well, it's like always an honor because I know people have been asking me since the beginning of this year, when is the judge going to be back on to tell his wisdom, to speak his truth, to speak truth to empower. So you are definitely a fan favorite, and people are always asking, they need to put the judge back on TV. But I tell people, this is the new TV, the internet. I mean, this is the new TV.
Oh, right.
So, Judge, I got to ask you, man, about this. I know you spoke about Kamala Harris in the past, about how you will be against her being president in 2020.
That's a joke.
That's a joke. But what about...
Just as a blanket rule,
Mm-hmm.
Clear prosecutors have no business doing anything for the people because it's a matter of power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And too many prosecutors have gotten too many bad habits for a lifetime with the wrong ideas about what they're doing.
Mm.
Not social engineering, not doing things to change conditions, but simply what's your bag limit? How many did you get? We've got problems. We need changes. Not functionaries who just lock us up and put us away. In any event, I can't see that the person offers anything. Maybe if they paid 20 years or so of dues to do some good governance, but no, we have enough new and unimproved messing stuff up as it is. So,
Okay, well,
and go ahead.
I was going to ask you about now they got Oprah. They're saying Oprah might be the next president.
That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's like taking her literary suggestions as serious literature.
Mm.
I don't even consider that. That isn't even worth talking about. That's just pipe dream of some. Well, I won't get into that.
But you get a chance to hear her Golden Globe speech that she made that really got people buzzing about her for 2020 for the White House. Have you had a chance to listen to that?
Nope.
I know people were kind of...
I've heard enough of her speeches over the last several decades to understand how much of a problem we have as a result of that type of outlook on life. Let's all have a good cry stuff. We don't need that. That's not what a president does anyway. It's like, goodness, people, you have any idea what the chief executive is all about? No. So, I mean, I don't even want to discuss Oprah as president. That's like, goodness gracious. That, that, that just sounds so ridiculous that I don't even want to touch it, you know?
You know, the thing about it, like we live in the age of information, or I guess people say the age of Aquarius, which is, I mean, it's the age of transparency. If you try to keep it secret in 2018, you're bound to be, you'll fail because it is too much. I don't think privacy exists anymore. But in response to that, I know people like the singer Seal, they have came out in opposition to Oprah because in her speech she talked about the Me Too and Time's Up movement. And she basically used the story of Reese Taylor. Are you familiar with that story, the rape of Reese Taylor?
No, and don't care.
Well, I'm saying,
In other words, some things are just, it's like a non-starter.
Uh-huh. But he called her out on it because he showed on the internet had pictures of her with Harvey Weinstein all hugged up and kissing.
I don't care about that. That's distraction. People keep talking about this, that, and the other that they heard on the news. I said, you know what? Try not listening to it for a week and see if you notice anything. You won't. All of it is just entertainment. In other words, just like looking at a soap opera or a sitcom. Most of what passes for news these days has about the same reality quotient as a sitcom or a soap opera. So they want you to stay tuned for commercial purposes.
Right.
I just don't fall into that trap.
I'm gonna ask you this, I guess, another tactic. What's your thoughts about the government shutdown? Like, who's to blame for that? What's the real?
Did you notice anything going differently?
That's a good question.
I mean, seriously. It's just an illustration of current dysfunction. That's all.
Okay.
Neither party is actually addressing the needs of the 21st century. They're bankrupt, both of them. They've got issues that are not mainstream issues. They have issues that do not deal with the needs of the country. And don't get caught up in the trap that they set for you to start conceptualizing what's going on with what they present. They don't even come close.
But what does that say on the old saying, the people get the leadership that they deserve? What does it say about the American people that we got these people in office setting public policy?
You've got some BS clowns in who aren't competent to go run a dog pound, let alone the government. It's a little bit too complex for them. And both parties have an agenda. And that agenda has very little to do with mainstream people. It's an agenda that, in essence, deals with how do you help this country become more of a class-based, caste-based society for whatever little chump change you can give to somebody who's nominally supposed to be in a leadership role. And if you're in the Democratic Party, you have issues like who's going to piss in what bathroom, and you take up a lot of time with that. If you're on the Republican side, you have issues of who's going to pray what to who to something, and you get a lot of time taken up on that. And both parties substantially spend most of their time making sure that those who have a very lot get a lot. and everybody else gets nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's what it is.
Oh, wow.
Disappointing, really. It's just, I think what happened with the country is after starting before World War II, you had radio soap operas that became television soap operas, and over quite a number of decades, that just acclimated the country to filth, obscene, pornographic filth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about sex, I'm talking about soap opera. That is some of the filthy stuff that it never should have been played for the American public, but it got a good segment of it addicted to that trash.
Mm-hmm.
And they think like that. And you've got Oprah, Tyler Perry, and a whole bunch of homegrown industry that panders to that kind of sick idea about life. The housewife stuff and all of this, it's like the country's sick.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a few people in the world that have some principle, or countries that have principle. This doesn't seem to be one of them.
Well, let me ask you about, in contrast, like the Chinese government recently coming out to ban, I guess hip hop culture and the tattoos on TV. What's your take on that? Chinese government coming out to ban.
Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have some kind of standards, and you have to keep the public's mind on a certain level. And if you don't, it descends quickly in this kind of world to a level that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
They like to focus on their entertainments. They like to focus their entertainments on stuff like duty, honor, obligation, responsibility, physical and moral courage and bravery, and that kind of thing. We get caught up on salacious nastiness, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on who's screwing who. A matter of, enough's enough. I like to take the high ground sometimes, and some of the things people want to talk about, it's like, who cares? Get your mind out of the gutter and start thinking in a different kind of fashion. Do something constructive. There's some frontiers that need to be addressed, and we aren't doing it. The educational system is a mess. Public education has gone to hell. The employment situation, people in the name of private enterprise have totally abdicated their responsibility to direct the economy that they have so it's functional and it spreads itself around and it can be coherent in what it does. No, we don't have that. We've got a lot of mythology out there. Mm-hmm. And it's, again, one of these things that tell a lie long enough, loud enough, you can get anybody to believe it. You get myths, and the myths become truisms, and everything goes to hell from that point. People aspire to becoming part of the exclusive class. I guess they're going to win the lottery next week. So they put up with all sorts of wrongdoing on the hope that they'll become part of the class that gets advantage of that. Oh, you feed them and entertain them. That's from 2,000 years ago. That's Caesar. Give them bread and circuses, and they'll be very happy and won't care what you do. It's a mess.
So you really don't have any type of, positive outlook on the future of the country? Is it everything that goes downhill from here?
What it looks like from a historical perspective is very much like the United Kingdom 100 years ago. That's Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
World's biggest empire. Now it's a third-rate country.
Wow. Man, wow. I keep on. I'm trying to process what's going on. That's why I'm glad I'm talking to you, because I know a lot of folks. They've been following your videos, and they really respect the things you are saying. Like, you unapologetic. You shoot from the hip. Straight no chaser type of guy, and people really appreciate this in a time where people are not trying to take a stand for anything, or they're afraid to speak their mind because of consequences and repercussions. So what you tell them?
What repercussions? Nobody's gonna lynch anybody these days. Come on, give me a break.
Destroy your career. I mean, like, okay, you say something that's considered homophobic or anti-Semitic.
What career do most people have these days, other than being a functionary? They don't actualize their own potential. They're not getting an education. Even if you go to a good school, what they're giving you now is not what it used to be, so you don't know what to do with it. Everybody wants to specialize, and generally in some useless nonsense. And you've got a situation where the government has abdicated its responsibility to come up with a guided economy, so everything is catch as can. And that means that those that deal with Goldman Sachs on a regular basis run stuff, and those who don't. Have you seen Goldman Sachs commercials out here on television? What the hell do they have commercials for? What are they selling to the public? About, we're responsible for all of these great projects. Yeah, you get to rip off at the public trough. You've got a banking system that doesn't have to back up its accounts with cash. And if you screw up, then the taxpayer has to cover it. You know,
like in 2000, with that 2007, 2008, when the banks got bailed out.
Yeah, the bailout bill
10 years ago.
It was a rip off. They should have set all of that bunch into receivership and appointed some GS-14s to run things, get stuff straightened out on the feet, and then totally restructure that system. But they didn't.
But you know what? The people wanted it, though. I remember 10 years ago, people was calling for people's heads. I mean, people in the street said, we want these folks to be held accountable. And what do they say? They say too big to fail. How can anybody be too big to fail?
That's exactly, because the elected and appointed leadership in this country is in hock to them. That's like here in Memphis. It's like this city has money, but the money that it brings in gets sent out to certain select interests, and it certainly doesn't trickle down. You've got a crook in the DA's office, and they're talking about running her for governor, which is a shame.
Wow.
The juvenile court is an abomination of crime and misbegotten activity that is causing a ruination of too many families, particularly poor whites and black ones. I mean, you've got a cesspool. You've got a judiciary that's out of touch with the people. You've got a criminal court system down here that is about the business of making money, not doing anything about collectively doing something to change the proclivity to commit criminal activity by doing social engineering. I mean, it's just awful. I mean, people have no ideas, and they're running around like stuffed shirts trying to pompously appear like they're up to something of some significance. They're not. Look at this. We had snow and ice in here. Did you see a truck putting out sand or salt? No, you didn't. Nothing. I mean, like, what's the point other than that your tax dollars, or your, in this case, let's say your sales tax dollars, the share that this local area gets, are going to get put in somebody's pocket that doesn't need it. And no business is going to be encouraged amongst small businessmen. There's nothing for the middle class, white or black, that's been delivered in decades. Laws sink to high heavens, and they're coming out of a Tea Party booklet that they try to deal with what they bring out of California, which has been lost to them thanks to some rather short-sighted things that they did out there, and they've got it coming back to haunt them, which is good. You know, the country is becoming rapidly a brown country rather than a white one, and they don't know what to do with that. We have our neighborhoods, which have become matriarchies. You don't know how to raise children anymore. You go to a restaurant, and it's a disgrace sitting in there because these people puppies haven't been housebroken, and they don't know how to behave. It's a shame. People are just abdicated their responsibility and spend too much damn time in front of social media and even television. There's nothing on.
Right.
I mean, you can get the American History Channel, the Science Channel, the Military History Channel, maybe the Sci-Fi Channel come up with something, and they keep running the same things over and over and over and over. So, I mean, what's the point? And they got off on this comedy thing, but basically comedy has become political commentary these days. So what do you have? It's all about Trump, 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 Trump. It's like, for goodness sake, come up with something different.
I mean, like, I was thinking about what you're saying. I was thinking about this is movement called Men Going Their Own Way. Is a very like movement, I guess a popular social or controversial movement where men saying to hell with this matriarchy stuff, we're gonna just be by ourselves. Like, you know, basically society does not need strong males, supposedly. But like we know that But now men are saying we're not gonna put up with it anymore.
I'm homosexual, so I need women.
I hear you, Judge. Women are necessary.
There's a certain amount of public and social and private order that needs to be restored.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get little frivolous missies out there on the East Coast and the West Coast who have an idea about man-hating. And when you can turn them loose, it doesn't work because they cut out too much of human nature.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it is what it is.
But the black community, but you know, it's interesting because black male leadership is needed. Black hetero male leadership is needed. But the society has got some black women thinking they could do it all by themselves.
They can't.
Of course, it's proven. Like you talked about the situation in restaurants, and look at our education system. It's been proven that black men are needed.
That is very much the case.
But black males don't feel respected, though. If you're a black man who is not effeminate, or you're an alpha man, you're not wanted, or they just don't make you feel like the best you can do is be a gym teacher. No disrespect. They don't even want you to be principals anymore. They don't want men to be principals anymore.
Here's what one of the bad things that has happened over the last several decades. One, the majority of the country is born out of wedlock under 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shame. 42% of Americans 35 and under are born out of wedlock, all races combined. That's a shame. You have a situation where only 44% of the workforce is male. On average, for the last 15 years, they've got records for the 21st century. Mm-hmm. Only 28% of each year's high school graduates are male. That's all races.
Wow.
You've got 36% of the undergrad students, 32% of the undergrad students are male, 36% of the graduate students are male. That's because you have a compact that was anciently established in the human race. And that is that the mothers understood what boys are supposed to grow up to be and what utility men had. So they helped raise these children until they got old enough to appreciate what their fathers could do for them, which is about 7 or 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they became good, productive men and women when they grew up. Now it's anti-male, so there's no father in the house, or if the father is around the house, you know, he's undercut. And he's likely to be of the generation where he doesn't know what the hell he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, okay, it boils down to this. Let's put it this way. Let's say that it hit the fan, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You want a woman out there leading you into the hot and heavy, or do you want a man doing it? Because I can't see myself following any woman into a hostile environment. It just ain't going to happen. You know, my instincts and those of my generation are like, women aren't put to hazard this kind of way. That's something that's wrong with thinking like that. Now these 2 generations of people in this country playing with video games where the boys have alter egos that are female, you know, and they've got some fantasy about Xena warrior princess snatching somebody or Wonder Woman jacking somebody, you know, to work up an appetite for breakfast. And I guess that's the way they think reality is. And the military, I think, has done something obscene, which is put women in combat units.
Mm.
It's like a society that hazards its women like that, unless the conditions are in the extreme, is something wrong with it.
And you know, we know just based on research and stuff, and I interview people, that a lot of women are being sexually assaulted in the military, raped, and worse, even murdered by their own people.
That happens. You see, there's a compact that's supposed to exist between men and women. Women are a resource, so are children. Save the women and children. Put them in the lifeboats first.
Mm-hmm.
And the men are expendable to protect the women and children. Nowadays, it's like, okay, you start translating that out so that, you know, there is this equality of situation, and you start losing protect the women and children first, and it's the devil catch the hindmost. And it doesn't work too well.
Well, let me ask you this, Judge, about, I mean, the sign of the times. We're talking about, I mean, you talk about economics, and sometimes people, you know, it takes a 2-person household sometimes. I mean, you might need help. Can a man be respected as a provider if his women got to pay half the bills or pay some of the bills?
I don't know. I've never been in that situation in my adult life. I always paid the lion's share of the bills.
But I mean, now that's like me, because of the way this stuff is. I mean, like the phasing out of certain type of jobs and automation and the wage wars, whatever. I mean, what do you think about the situation now?
Look at it this way: 44% of the workforce is male.
Mm-hmm.
56% of the workforce is female. Just think about that.
Okay.
And 28% of the high school graduates on average each year are male. 32% of the undergraduates in college are male, and 36% are male who are grad students. Now just think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That means that the males are not getting prepared to assume what has been put on their shoulders by human evolution and human culture.
So, man, can a man be respected if his woman makes more money than him then? Can a woman respect her man?
You know what? Yeah. It depends on what he's doing.
Okay.
For example, you take the Clintons. For 5 terms, Bill Clinton was governor of the state of Arkansas, which meant he did not make a good deal of money, all right?
Okay.
But he had power.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you may have somebody who is a literal Albert Einstein married to a very rich woman. So you've got an intelligentsia thing there, you know, versus somebody with money. And in these days, 80-some% of the people who are rich inherit it. They don't make it.
Right.
So it depends on what the guy is doing. It isn't all about money. It's what you're doing with your time. Like, for example, you can be a hack businessman and come up with all sorts of entertainments to distract people and keep them preoccupied instead of paying attention to their business.
Right.
Or you can be a great surgeon. So did you say the surgeon is less valuable than the person who comes up with the sitcom yuck, yuck nonsense? Or is it the other way around?
That's interesting because the reason I bring that up, I mean, you talk about the situations of black males in this country. It's very unique being a black man in America. In my opinion, we are some of the least respected people in America, it seems, and we are some of the most hated.
Right. Absolute bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, so what do you do as a black man to like feel like a man? No, I'm asking you because a lot of times a black man, I mean, let me ask you this. It's been on my mind too, Judge. Can a man be respected if a man move in with a woman? Like if you're a man, you with some woman, y'all in a relationship, can a man get equal respect or some type of respect in a relationship if he moves in with his woman?
It's very hard, but that's what we get raised to do.
Okay.
Hey, man, I got me some ladies, man. Take care of me, man. They look at me, everything I need, man. Well, what do you do? Man, I make food for them. No, man, it sounds like being a gigolo, fool. What do you do? See, our whole ideology is based on that kind of thing. And you know what it comes from is you take a hard rap, gangster rap video, and it looks masculine to the people who are naive. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
People bouncing around half naked up there on the screen that you're looking at, doing wild gyrating dancing. That's their grandmothers, aunts, and mamas, and their girlfriend, their mama's girlfriends. You know, that's June Cleaver.
Mm-hmm.
If June Cleaver's got on some booty shorts and a tube top, you know, with everything hanging out and some big hoop earrings, overweight, you know, and trying to be garish.
Right.
Instead of having a dress on, pearls, and an apron. You know, and I make a point these days of I go into restaurants and I'll say, I'll just go bring a book or bring my phone and read a book on my phone or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, drink a Diet Coke and eat a salad or something or drink coffee. And I said, please don't sit me next to some unruly kids. I don't mind kids ordinarily, but the parenting skills these days are very, very lacking. And these kids are not housebroken. So they don't know how to behave. I was sitting in one restaurant. I'll even give a name to the Olive Garden. I go several of them, two of them around here. There's nothing else better to do. But I'm sitting there and they sit me someplace, no kids around, and then about 10 minutes later, they put this woman with 3 kids in the booth behind. All right. I'm no more getting ready to take a breadstick, and this kid standing at the end of my table. Gimme. I said, get away from here. I want one. I said, you better go see your mama. You should share. I said, well, you go share with her, but you don't reach up here on my table. Now, what kind of ill-mannered heathen does not get the idea that this is a disgrace to her, that her children are behaving like that? And they never grow up. So you lose courtesy. I used to find that was always interesting when I was dealing with juries on the criminal bench.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors, lawyers, businessmen, powerful people would say, yes, sir, no, ma'am, thank you, please, pardon me,
right,
excuse me, sir, ma'am, so-and-so. And then the further down the social scale you are, the less education you have, the more likely it is, yeah, no, I said, I'll tell you what, if you answer that without an honorific, I'm going to have you locked up for a little bit and see how long it takes you to develop some home training. I'm calling you sir or ma'am. You can call everybody else sir or ma'am if the judge can.
Right.
And if you noticed my show, I always called everybody by their last name, Mr., Ms., or whatever the case may be.
Uh-huh.
And if, in doubt, whatever in the devil's driver's license indicated.
But you think this is why some of the things go down with the police situation? Like you talked about the young boy in the Olive Garden. They say he grows up and never learns how to be. And he get in trouble with the police, and his mama started crying on TV. Said, "My boy's a good boy." But why? It started in the restaurant. How you didn't train him, like how to be around people in the restaurant, and then he get in trouble with the police.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Powerful people are polite with each other because if they're powerful, they can vest some consequence for an impoliteness or a misunderstanding. So they tend to have manners.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, it's now popular to not have manners. You go in someplace and you're 60 years old, 55, 45, 70 years old, and some 16 wants to say, George, excuse me, what do you mean, George? That's Mr. So-and-so. You can call me doctor. I have a doctorate degree. You can call me judge. You can call me attorney, lawyer, or mister. Don't you call me by my first name. I don't even let friends' kids call me by first name. Because there's a certain status to being a proven human being. You're worth something. You have accomplished and you have made your sojourn on the planet worthwhile. No, you don't have the same rights I do at 16, 17, 22 years old. You better earn them.
But you know what? Judge, people, even women have responded very favorably to you. When we do these interviews, women say, why are men like Judge Joe Brown? And it's a lot of young people, a lot of young men looking for some type of guidance. Where are the man codes? I saw shows where you have young guys, right? 25, early 20, late teens. Their mom have did a number on them. They are so messed up in the head, they lack confidence. Some people talking about they want to commit suicide because they don't feel like a man. Where are the man codes?
Because men were people of power, and certain women didn't like that. But the bottom line is, we still get back to this. This is what the equation's about. It's 3:17 a.m. in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You are a young woman, and you have been moderately successful in life, and you've got a condo or a townhouse, and at 3:17 a.m. in the morning, you are awakened by the sound of breaking glass downstairs. Do you want to get up and go look for go see what's going on, or do you want a good man who's competent to go check out what's going on? That's where the real issue comes in, but we forget that.
But yeah, we still all equal, right? That's the thing. We all equal rights, equal pay, equal everything.
It's like, okay, don't worry, I'll protect you. You have no idea how stupid that sounds, lady.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to protect me, but I will protect you. So you'll get your jollies going shopping and looking at the bric-a-brac, smelling the candles and fluffing the linen,
Mm-hmm.
I get my jollies on thoughts of being a hero one day. Or continuing to do things I didn't have to do, but, after you've done them, you smile to yourself when you shave in the morning.
Right.
Yep, I didn't back down.
I just want to ask you, because I think it's point. I never got a chance to ask you about your thoughts about Forest Park situation in December. I think it was December when they removed the statues, but they still have the bodies there of Nathan Bedford Forrest and his wife. I just wanted to get your input on that. What's your thoughts about it?
Go move them to somebody else's graveyard, not a public one. They were guilty of treason. A racist dog, Forrest, and his partner Maples ran the biggest slave trading business in America before the Civil War. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you are downtown in front of the civil courthouse on the southeast corner, across the street, they've got a national marker. It says, on this spot, Nathan Bedford Forrest and his partner Maples ran the largest slave trading establishment in America.
He has a lot of blood on his hands.
And you got a majority black city, and they've got the bones of a slave trader there. Interestingly enough, there is a weird downside to this whole thing with Forrest. You've heard of the Freedmen's Bureau, maybe. After the Civil War, they set it up to deal with freed slaves. They set up Howard University, named after this Union General Howard. Mm-hmm. Lost one arm, and they did a study on what the old plantation owners were doing with their slaves. You know what I found absolutely crazy was the person they found that paid the highest working wage to his ex-slave was Nathan Bedford Forrest.
Wow.
He says, I can't make them anymore with a whip, so I can get them to do something by paying them what their labor's worth.
What do you think about that? What do you think of? That's interesting.
That's a point.
Mm-hmm.
See, one of the problems we have is I watch some of my brothers, younger ones, older ones, in between, and you take somebody white and they tend to behave, especially the good old boys in the South, they tend to behave like they are chosen people. Mm-hmm. You take us, and they act like, I'm embarrassed to even think about it. What am I doing here? I don't really feel like I belong in this company. You know, they want to hang their heads and be, show humility. Stick your chest out, hold your head up, and act like you own the damn room when you're in there. Mm-hmm. And then for self-respect, so you're not fronting off too much, do what you need to do so you actually have some of those attributes. Mm. Prepare yourself. We spend too much time being able to discuss what the NBA is up to or NFL rather than things of some importance. They're distractions. Read a book. Turn that damn television off sometime.
Well, I got to ask you this, because I think you bring up some interesting points now. I think it's very timely. And you're a guy that do follow some comic book movies, and you're a fan of the movies in general, I believe. But
if there's a lot of gratuitous violence and sex in them.
But what your take on, like, black folks? I mean, like, people are going really, I guess, crazy over the premiere next month of the Black Panther movie. Like, black folks are really feeding into that fantasy world where you have in the real world, they actually did kill Black Panthers, but in this world, it's a Black Panther superhero. And black folks, like, it's like the next coming to Kwanzaa, renting out movie theaters, costume parties. What are your take on this Black Panther phenomenon stuff?
Ridiculous. I mean, they even actually steal some of the Huey P. Newton imagery for the movie.
Wow.
I'm glad
I didn't know that.
to do that. Might as well be a black superhero, but I mean, It's okay, but the bottom line is black men have a unique opportunity to actually be heroes. And why waste your time on a bloody fantasy when you can deal with a reality?
So they'll kill you, like Dr. King or Malcolm X or Steve Biko or Thomas Sankara. They'll kill Patrice Lumumba. They'll kill a black man trying to be a real hero, right? I mean, black men are supposed to be heroes, right? You'll die young.
Yeah, but there's another thing too.
Mm-hmm.
If you prepare yourself, you're less likely to be a dead hero. You know, you're supposed to be doing something as an activist and you don't even own a firearm. Or if you do, you don't know how to use the damn thing.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
So it was nonviolence, Judge. Dr. King, nonviolence.
Look, that's his idea. That came from Mahatma Gandhi, who happened to be a overt racist with some very negative opinions about Africans for the whole of his life. And yeah, if you want to do that, but nobody's beating me across my head until they feel guilty about whipping my behind.
And you know what's interesting, Dr. King? I mean, the day they got him is when he didn't have no armed security around him.
Well, he did. He had several black sergeants and detectives who were his guard, but they pulled them off.
Exactly. That's my point, yeah. He was out there by himself.
Yes, and then they had, let's see, they had Ed Reddick, who they had to hog tie with a rope and double handcuff and remove him from the scene. So it wasn't like somebody was trying to do him. They had him at the Remain Motel, which was a part of the hoe track. It was an hourly rate hotel. That's where the hoes did their work.
So why did they put him in there to stay overnight, though? That's the question.
There's a good question.
I heard rumors and stuff. I was like, what the hell?
He was supposed to be at the Holiday Inn flagship hotel, the Rivermont, now known as the Rivermark. He didn't even really want to come back.
So basically, I mean, we all know that the government was complicit, elements of the government. I ain't gonna say the whole government, but elements.
Well, J. Edgar Hoover certainly knew about it. There's a big thing about J. Edgar Hoover and his conflicted situation. He was gay in the time when that was verboten. He was a black person, and he hated the Klan for his whole life because they used to burn crosses on his parents' property, accusing them of passing for white.
So it's like some of that stuff that it's not taught. You know, it's funny because we was at the we went downtown tonight for the trolley night, and they had the Witters Gallery had a gallery opening on South Main, the art district. And some of the, I mean, like, I'm not being a nerd, I guess, but damn, it was like, I was looking at some of the photographs, and they got dates wrong. Like, they got, you know, for example, the Medgar Evers family at his funeral, they got Charles Evers as mayor of Fayette, Michigan, when he was mayor of Fayette, Mississippi in 69, not 63. Then they had, like, Dr. King's last march wrong on his date, the date of the last march. They had it, like, in March of 1963. But I told the people, look, y'all made some errors because I was trying to find Larry Payne in one of the photographs. But we just don't know the history. We don't know the narrative. We know the official story of what happened on April 4th, 1968. But we don't know the other stories.
Yeah, you can talk about, the ladies can talk about Boo or Road Trip.
Yeah.
But they can't talk about the history.
And that's troubling.
It's like you get something, for example, Pan-Africanism and that stuff. For some reason, black mothers think it's being Afrocentric to braid their son's hair.
Right.
I remember when I was at UCLA, I had a couple of Nigerian roommates, and they saw this developing in the mid-60s, late mid-60s, and they used to laugh about it. They said that is a sure sign of being gay in Africa if you are a male and braid your hair. Somebody will kill you. Dreadlocks, okay. Boys don't braid their hair. Mamas don't braid boys' hair, but you see it all the time.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're doing. You see something where there's an African country being considered, and all of the women are just all rushing out to get all of these multicolored African robes so they can be gaudy and flaunts around, when what they ought to be doing is wearing jungle camouflage to celebrate some of the Africans decided to rise up against colonialism. But they don't get it.
But they will be dressed into the nines for the Black Panther premiere party next month.
Oh, yeah.
Black Panther jury and everything. I black folks kind of, we kind of like, man, we sick, man. Cause I said, man, like, wow.
Wrongful ideation.
Yeah.
See, here's one of the problems with black men trying to be men. It's like you have to be not only willing, but anxious to die for something that's worthwhile. We don't die for causes.
Dr. King, like you said, a man that wants to die for anything, he ain't fit to live. I mean, I meet people all the time. What is all, but I look at, okay, how much is the schism between black men and women is programmed or is natural? Like, you got issues with black women not liking black men, supposedly, and black men hating black women. We all hate each other, supposedly. If you go by the social media and stuff like that.
I don't hate black women, but I've learned something in my life, which is women don't really like to be treated equally.
Why you say that? Say that again. And why
women don't like being treated equally.
Why is that?
Not really.
Why?
They like the benefits, but not the obligations. Open doors for women. They expect that. They expect an appreciating look, but nowadays they don't get it because guys are scared to look at a woman cross-eyed because some lesbian might start complaining about harassment. You got a movement going on in a workplace about the guys can't have cutesy pictures of women, calendars, anything, but the women can have interesting pictures of men and giggle about it. That's okay. It's a double standard. We have a compact where women are a necessary adjunct to a healthy life. So you give them a reward in terms of a certain amount of deference. We will protect you, but you don't get that. Down in the hood where they need the protection, they are actually looked at as an object of exploitation. Why? Because there was no man teaching the boy when he grew up. So he listens to his mind's eye. He's 9 years old, listening to his favorite 14-year-old aunt talk about how she rips men off. Honey, they all dogs. They don't deserve anything. They just after one thing. I hear you, honey. Take every dime you can get. So he looks at that as exploitation of the opposite sex. So yeah, man, I got my ladies take care of me. I'm pimping, man. I got my hoes, man. Hey. They're the wrong way of looking at the world. They've even got white kids running around talking about pimping now. A pimp is about one of the lowest, slimiest creatures on earth. And goodness knows I represented enough of them back when. They'd pay. You needed to get some money in.
What is a people like Iceberg Slim, and
he's a slimy sleazeball. And if they had actually had a revolution plot or plan, somebody should have killed him. That's what they would have done. You should, if you ever get the chance, and you can find it, there's an old instructional video come movie called Battle of Algiers.
Okay.
It's very interesting. And then there's another one You can find it. It's from the mid-'60s. It's called Africa Audio, early '70s, late '60s.
Okay, I'll check it out. That's good to know.
If you can find it.
Yeah. Probably got to go into Darknet or something they call it the Darknet. Well, I asked you about Bitcoin before, so we talked about this. You said it reminded you of the silver craze or the silver thing back in the 70s.
Yes.
But do we need a different type of currency or cryptocurrency? Do you think it's necessary now?
No, we do not need any kind of cryptocurrency or anything like that. What you need to understand is how to manage money and run a business. And we've got the wrong idea. You go to Jamaica. Hey, man, why you up so late in the morning, man? It is 8 o'clock. You must be on vacation, man. Talk about everybody set their business up, man. Man, yeah, I sell my banana, man, and plantain, man. You know, my store, man, ain't nothing but parking crate. But I'm a businessman. And they've got their roadside businesses where they sell the fruit up and down the roadway. The shop may be some taped up cardboard, but he's running the business. And they have court where they're arguing about he took to my banana and wants me money. What's the matter with you, man? You get government check, man? You only got one job, man? What's wrong with you, man?
Wow.
Go to New York, there's Harlem, but, you know, there aren't any black people, American blacks in African Americans. You get a lot of Caribbean Americans because white folk deal with them. They go to vacations down in the Caribbean, and when they need an extra person to fill out the foursome for golf, it's the bank vice president, he's black, or the magistrate, he's black, you know. And to show you how bad we are, there was a certain Governor General of Jamaica. I was his guest, my wife and ex-wife and I, one year, a few years back. And he had been a professor over in the Detroit area for a while. And he would bring young brothers over from America to Jamaica. And he'd tell them, show them everything. And one time during this one visit, he said, Judge Brown, would you do me the kind favor, sir? These young men don't believe that I'm carrying out my agreement to show them everything, man, about how this place runs. I said, what's the problem? Yo, like Judge, like His Excellency here, man, like he say, he gonna show us the whole island. Yes. Well, one thing, we've been here 2 weeks. Ain't like we ain't been enjoying ourselves, but when they gonna show us the white folk that run this place? I said, he runs it. What you mean he run it? Where do you think you are right now? In a big office building. No, this is where he lives. What kind of hotel is this? It's not a hotel, it's a palace. You know, like, why do you think these guys are standing around here with military battle rifles and they're loaded? There is security. If you get condemned to die by getting hung, he can commute your execution. So there's going to be a big parade tomorrow. Check it out. So they, you know, the British, you know how they knew how to march, you know, the Commonwealth, they can really cut up, swing those arms, and they're sharp, and they snap to attention and everything. So we're over on a reviewing stand, and off in the distance, there's somebody comes in with this red coat on, white breeches, and these tall, gleaming black boots and a sword, you know, with a horse that's just stepping away. Oh, man, Duke can ride, man. Who that? I said, that's your host, His Excellency, the Governor General. Oh, man, dude is in charge. That's how you see everybody lined up saluting him. But they couldn't get the idea that somebody ran an island that was black run.
Right. So you suggest that black folks, in particular young black folks, need to travel outside the United States, need
That would
passports.
help. And it's just like they get small stuff put to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just think about the spectrum of black sitcoms
Right.
that these kids look at, their mothers look at, and the filth that they put in their heads that shouldn't be in there, that gives them the wrong kind of ideation as to what they're supposed to be doing with these boys. These boys, see, don't get what they need from their mothers, and there are no fathers around. See, at one point, women had a vested interest in making sure that their sons understood, because eventually the sons would become men of the village, et cetera, and would help protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't get that. They look at it as they've got to protect the boys, and the boy's 48 years old. But mama's still trying to protect him.
Why do women, I mean, if they know they had a hard finding a man or keeping a man, why would they raise their sons like that?
Because the society has been directed for the last 40 or 50 years by a series of people who are basically ill.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like the man-woman combat.